number that Ms. Johnson spoke to you from. You've seen this exhibit before. It's part of State's Exhibit 43.
Yes, I have.
So there is a number highlighted in blue, 3667. When you interviewed Ms. Johnson, now Ms. Argie, by cell phone, was it through this cell phone number?
It was, yes.
Did Ms. Johnson, like Mr. Timbers, provide you with a series of text messages between her and Mr. Argie that she had on her cell phone?
She did.
And how did she do that?
She sent those via email.
Did you also interview a person by the name of Karen Waystack?
I did.
And how did you conduct the interview with a Karen Waystack?
That was, again, another phone interview conducted over the phone.
And again, going back to State's Exhibit 43, we have a number highlighted in yellow, 603-475-0792. Is that the number by which you contacted Ms. Waystack and conducted that telephone interview with her?
Yes, it was.
Among the other work that you performed during the investigation in this case, you said you recovered some surveillance footage?
I did, yes.
From where did you obtain surveillance footage?
From the Home Depot in Londonderry, New Hampshire.
Is that the one on Nashville Road in Londonderry?
It is. I believe the number was 41 Nashville Road.
About how far is that particular Home Depot from 118 West Road where Ms. Argie's body was found, travel-wise?
Approximately 15 minutes.
In terms of the route from 118 West Road to that Home Depot, is one travel route by car depicted in this exhibit, which is State's Exhibit 37?
Yes, it is.
The next slide is State's Exhibit 28, which the jurors have seen before. You see the truck that's circled in white here?
I do.
So looking at the direction that that truck is heading on West Road to the left, if we can go back to State's Exhibit 37, is this route one would take from 118 West Road to Home Depot in the direction that that truck was heading in the photo that we just saw?
Yes.
So going back to this photo, if this truck were heading to Home Depot, this route is one that it could take.
It is, yes.
And you said you actually did recover surveillance footage from the Home Depot in Londonderry?
I did.
And from what areas of the Home Depot did you recover surveillance footage?
From 3 different angles, from the self-checkout register department area to the exit, one of the exit doors, and the parking lot.
And I just read for the jurors a certification from State's Exhibit 1, which is a certification from Home Depot. It has attached to it a disc, a surveillance disc, and you actually reviewed this and initialed and dated it, right?
Correct.
So you reviewed the surveillance footage that we're going to be going over momentarily?
I did, yes.
So let's start with the clip that's labeled on the bottom left, SCO. In what area of the Home Depot does this depict?
The self-checkout area?
So self-checkout area, so someone can scan his or her items and pay for it without a cashier's assistance?
Correct, yes, I can.
With respect to the date and time stamp located on the bottom left-hand corner, were those date and time stamps embedded in the videos when you recovered them, or were they added afterwards?
They were there when I recovered the video.
As to this red circle in this particular video clip, was that something that was added afterwards?
Yes, it was.
The recovered surveillance from Home Depot, did it have audio that accompanied the video, or was it just video?
It was just video.
Okay, so we'll play this first clip, and we'll play about the first minute or so. And should jurors be focusing their attention in that red circled area?
Yes, they should.
So we can play, and again, we'll play about the first minute or so. And if we can pause right here, please. And we'll go on to the next slide, which is State's Exhibit 15. Are these still photos from the video footage that we just reviewed?
Yes, they are.
So with respect to the photograph on the upper left, the next slide, is this going to be a blow-up?
Yes.
And are you familiar with the self-checkout area that's depicted in this surveillance footage?
Yes, I am.
And what area of the self-checkout register is the person in the video from which the still is taken? What area is that person reaching for?
The area where you would receive your receipt and or any cash that's returned to you.
Moving on to the other surveillance still in State's Exhibit 15. The person circled in red who just made the purchase at the self-checkout on the upper right, what area of the store is he walking to, over to the right in this photo?
Towards the exit of the Home Depot.
And does the next video surveillance footage that we'll be viewing depict that exit area where he is walking to?
Yes, it does.
So let's play the second portion of surveillance video, and we'll play the first 11 seconds or so. And before we do, where should the jurors be focusing their attention?
On the left-hand side of the screen, approximately halfway up.
Sorry. So this area right here where I'm pointing the laser pointer at?
Yes.
And again, we're only going to be playing 11 seconds, so it goes by fast.
Yes, sir.
If you can play that. There's somebody walking towards us in the view.
They are.
And if we can pause, please. Now we're on State's Exhibit 16. Are these still photos from the video surveillance that we just saw?
Yes.
And, I want to focus on the photo on the right, which is circled. The next slide, do we have an enlargement?
Yes.
And the person appears to be holding a bag?
Yes.
And where generally is the person with the bag walking to?
Towards the exit of the Home Depot.
And does the last surveillance footage that we'll be viewing depict that parking area where he's walking to?
Yes, it does.
So let's play that last portion of surveillance footage, and we're going to play its entirety, which is about a minute long. Again, is the red circled area where we're focusing our attention on?
Yes.
And that has been added after receipt of the surveillance video.
Correct. Yes, it has.
And from where in this video will someone be walking to that truck that's circled in red?
Again, approximately halfway up on the left-hand side of the screen.
So from this area over here that I'm pointing to with the laser pointer?
Yes.
So again, this is about a minute, if we can now play that. Do you see somebody starting to walk towards that circled vehicle now?
Yes.
The next slide, we have State's Exhibit 17, and are these still photos from the surveillance video that we just saw?
Yes, they are.
With respect to the truck leaving the parking lot, it may be difficult for you to see, so I do have State's Exhibit 17. According to the embedded date and timestamp, about when does that truck leave the parking area of Home Depot?
Approximately 9:11, 9:12 in the morning.
So about 9:11 in the morning?
Yes, sir.
And going back to the slide showing the approximate travel distance and time between that Home Depot and 118 West Road, you said again it's about 15-minute travel time?
Yes.
So adding that 15 minutes or so to approximately 9:11, so that takes us to about 9:26 a.m., is that fair?
Yes.
Let me show you State's Exhibit 29, which is the still surveillance photo that the jurors saw earlier. Do you see in this still that what appears to be the same truck circled in white?
Yes.
And about how much of a time difference is depicted in this photo, which is 8:41 from the estimated travel time that we got before, which is about 9:26. So what's the difference between 8:41 and 9:26?
Approximately 45 minutes.
I'm showing you a slide that the jurors saw before State's Exhibit 33, which shows a time difference of 41 minutes. Is that correct?
Yes.
Switching gears to another topic, you said that as part of the investigation into Maureen Argie's death, you spoke with James Timbus and he allowed you to photograph text messages from his cell phone.
Yes.
Did Mr. Timbus also give you a debit card?
Yes, he did.
And in whose name was that debit card?
William Argie.
And with respect to the debit card for William Argie obtained from Mr. Timbus, how do the last four digits of that card compare to the last four digits of a debit card associated with the bank records for the defendant William Argie in March 2019, which is State's Exhibit 5? The last four digits from the defendant's bank records for the debit card are 0368. How do those last four digits compare to the last four digits of the debit card, the physical debit card that Mr. Timbus gave?
Yes, they are.
Same?
Same.
One moment. I have no further questions. Thank you.
Thank you.
Any cross-examination?
No questions, Your Honor.
And may this witness be excused?
Yes.
Ms. Jade?
Yes.
Sir, you can step down, you can stay, or leave as you choose.
Thank you, Your Honor.
So, Judge, as stated before, that's the last witness the state will produce for today. We do have additional evidence to provide, though. And would you like us to bring in you need her name for the record? So the state calls Annie Gagnon.
Attorney Hinckley, I was still inclined to swear the witness in.
Sorry.
I was still inclined to swear the witness in.
I'll defer to
Okay?
Your Honor.
Yes. Would you raise your right hand, please? Do you solemnly swear the testimony you're about to provide this court and jury shall be the truth under the pains and penalties of perjury?
I do.
Thank you. Please be seated. And once you're seated, if you could state your full name for our court reporter.
Sure. Full name is Annie Gagne. Last name is spelled Gagne.
Thank you.
So, Judge, at this time, we'll be reading the sworn grand jury testimony of William Argie taken at the Rockingham County Superior Courthouse on Friday, May 10th, 2019. So I will be asking the questions as seen in this transcript, and the witness will be answering for Mr. Argie.
Thank you.
Question. Let's begin by introducing yourself to the grand jurors and giving your name, your date of birth, please.
My name is William Argie. Date of birth 8/21/72.
And you understand that your testimony here is being recorded?
Yes.
You were served with a subpoena for your appearance before the grand jury today?
Yes, I was.
You know that you are here before the grand jury regarding the death of your wife, Maureen Argie?
According to what the subpoena said, yes.
Mr. Argie, I know that we were here just 2 days ago, but I want to go over again with you your rights and responsibilities as a witness before the grand jury. You understand that you have the right to refuse to answer a question in this proceeding if the answer may incriminate you. Do you understand that?
I do.
By incriminate, I mean that the answer could cause you to be charged with a crime or crimes or be used to support a criminal charge. Do you understand that?
I agree.
Do you understand that?
Yes.
If I ask a question and the answer will not incriminate you, you must answer the question. Do you understand that?
I do.
In other words, you cannot refuse to answer a question because you do not like the question, you do not want to answer the question, or if the question may be personal or the answer embarrassing. Do you understand that?
I do.
You also cannot refuse to answer a question because you believe that it may incriminate a person other than yourself, such as a family member. Do you understand that?
I do.
Do you understand that providing false testimony and lying to the grand jury is a crime in New Hampshire, and that crime is called perjury?
I do.
Do you understand that perjury is a Class B felony in New Hampshire? Then that means that if you are convicted of perjury, the court could sentence you up to 3.5 to 7 years and also impose a fine of up to $4,000. Do you understand that?
I do.
Do you understand that any answer that you give here today may be used against you in a court of law?
I do.
Mr. Argie, do you understand everything that I have just told you?
I do, sir.
Do you have a lawyer here with you today in the courthouse to represent you at this grand jury proceeding?
I do, sir.
You understand that your lawyer can only be with you in the courthouse, and cannot come here into the grand jury room during your testimony?
I do, sir.
You understand that you are allowed to step out of the room and consult with your lawyer at any time that you choose to do so?
I do, sir.
Do you understand that?
I do.
You want to take an opportunity now to speak with your lawyer about the rights and responsibilities that have just gone over with you, or anything else at this point in time?
Not at this time, sir.
And again, you have understood everything that I've gone over with you?
I do.
Let me take the opportunity. If there's a question you don't understand, or you want more, or you want me to repeat or rephrase, I will do so. Okay? Do you understand that?
Yes.
In the weeks prior to Maureen's death, was anyone in the family sick, either yourself or the kids?
I believe the kids had a virus.
And when you say a virus, can you explain what their symptoms were? Anything along those lines?
Gastrointestinal, vomiting, diarrhea.
And was that one kid or both kids? Your son and daughter, both?
It started with one, then the second.
And who did it start with?
To my recollection, I think it started with Gavin.
To your recollection, did either of the kids stay home because of the sickness from school or other activities?
I believe Gavin stayed home one day.
Did either of the children see a doctor because of their sickness?
They did not.
In relation to your wife's death, when were your children sick? And that's an approximate time frame. It can be days, it can be weeks. Again, it's approximate.
Approximately 2 to 3 weeks.
And about at the time of Maureen's, what about at the time of Maureen's death? Were the children or one of the children still sick, to the best of your knowledge?
To the best of my knowledge, I don't believe so.
What about yourself, Mr. Argie? Were you sick at any point in time in the weeks prior to Maureen's death?
To the best of my knowledge, probably about 3 or 4 weeks prior, I had a virus also which I thought to be the flu.
Was it a virus similar to what your children experienced in terms of symptomology?
Yes.
Did you go see a doctor for your sickness?
I did not.
Did you miss any time from work or from scheduled activities because of your sickness?
Not that I can recall.
In terms of who was sick first, you or the children, do you recall who was sick first?
I was sick first.
And I am sorry if I asked you, did you seek medical treatment for your sickness?
I did not.
What about medication? Did you take any medication for your sickness?
I believe I took some Tylenol.
Anything else that you recall, either over-the-counter or prescription?
Not that I recall.
What about the children? Do you recall them receiving any medication for their illnesses?
I gave Gavin Tylenol.
Did Maureen have a regular doctor?
To my knowledge, she did.
She did or she did not?
She did.
And who was that doctor?
I'm not sure who it was. I know that it is at the Elliott.
And do you know about when Maureen last saw her regular doctor?
I do not.
Had Maureen complained about having symptoms similar to what you and your children had in terms of the virus in the weeks leading to her death?
About a week approximately after me, she had similar symptoms as I did.
And when you say similar symptoms, this would be stomach issues basically?
Yeah.
What about any fever by you, your children, or your wife that you are aware of?
I had a fever. Gavin had a fever.
And when you say stomach issues, would that be vomiting and diarrhea, both?
It would be, sir.
Both?
Uh-huh, yes.
Did Maureen take any medication when she was sick that you were aware of?
I am not aware. She may have taken some Tylenol, but I don't fully recall.
With respect to around the time of Maureen's death, did she still either complain of any sickness or show any symptoms to you of being sick of this virus?
I don't recall.
Did Maureen have surgery recently?
Not that I'm aware of.
Did she have any recurring health issues?
To the best of my knowledge, no.
For example, some people may have recurring Crohn's disease or cancer. Anything like that she had repeatedly gone to see a doctor before over the course of several years?
Well, Maureen kept her medical stuff pretty private from me.
So your answer is you don't know?
I don't know.
Well, how about this? Do you recall ever having to go take her or pick her up from a hospital or a doctor as a regular occurrence?
Not to my knowledge.
When is the last time you recall ever having to take her to a doctor, take her to a hospital, or pick her up from a doctor or hospital for procedures such as an MRI or a doctor's appointment, even if you don't know what the particular doctor's appointment was for?
I can't recall a particular time.
Let's say within the past 2 years, do you recall a time when you had to do that with her?
Not myself.
In the days leading to Maureen's death, did she complain to you about anything physical, any physical issues that she was having?
Physical, no.
Did Maureen have a routine? Would she leave home typically around the same time in the morning, come back after work typically at the same time?
To the best of my knowledge, sometimes it would be sporadic depending on if I needed to work.
So, for example, taking the kids to the bus. My wife and I have an arrangement. Typically, I take the kids to school. She picks up the kids after school. Was there something similar in your family?
There was something similar to that.
What was that routine, understanding that the routine changed from time to time?
Again, it depended on if I had to work or not.
And if you didn't have to, and if you did not have to work, what would be that, excuse me. And if you did not have to work, what would that routine be? And again, understanding that routine could change from time to time.
The routine usually was I would put them on the bus and I would pick them up.
When you say you would pick the kids up, would you typically pick the kids up and then return with them home, or would it depend on if they had or you had something going on?
It would depend on whether something was going on, whether it be softball, baseball.
Assuming that there was no softball, baseball, music lessons, anything like that, around what time would the children typically get home?
Approximately anywhere between 4:30 and 5:45, depending on the day.
And typically, what time would the bus pick up the kids at the driveway, typically?
Typically between 8:25 and 8:35.
At the time of Maureen's death, you had a cell phone?
I did.
Do you have Maureen's cell phone?
I do not.
For about how long had you had your cell phone number for? About?
3 months.
Did you have a single phone or more than one phone?
I had a single phone.
Did the home have a landline?
No.
What about text messages? Did you frequently receive text messages from Maureen?
I did.
What type of things would she text about?
I can't recall anything particular.
Some people text on everything and anything now, and some people just text when it's necessary. How would you characterize Maureen?
She was a texter.
How about yourself?
I was a caller.
Do you recall the last text message you received from Maureen, when they were, about?
I can't recall.
Do you recall the context, even if you can't recall about when it was?
I cannot.
When you and Maureen are not together, for example, in the same house and could physically communicate with one another, how would you communicate? Would that be through the use of your cell phones?
A majority of the time.
Is there anything else about Maureen that I haven't gone over with you that you would like to tell the grand jury at this time? I'm sorry, that you would like to tell the grand jury about?
Not at this time.
Why did you drive your wife's SUV to the casino, Mr. Argie?
Because my truck was 3 months behind payment and probably being ready to be possessed or repossessed.
I guess if you can explain that to me, because you could have driven your truck. I guess those who are looking for it would not have been able to find it if it was in Connecticut.
To the best of my knowledge, I don't know that. It has a GPS system in it.
I don't want to put words in your mouth, but is it that you believe if you drove the truck there, it might be taken from you while you're at the casino?
And I would be stuck there.
So before we continue with the next questions and answers. Putting up State's Exhibit 89. came up with grand jury. We have for the jurors, grand jury exhibit number 1, grand jury exhibit number 2. Continuing with the testimony. Mr. Argie, I am showing you grand jury exhibit number 1. Do you see this exhibit?
I do.
The exhibit has on it several typed phrases, words, and numbers. I am showing you grand jury exhibit number 2, which is a blank piece of paper. I want you to copy the words, phrases, and numbers on grand jury exhibit number 1 onto grand jury exhibit number 2 as you see them, including capitalization and punctuation. Do you understand that, Mr. Argie?
I do.
And that completes Mr. Argie's sworn testimony before the grand jury. On the last slide for this particular testimony or evidence, Your Honor, I'm showing State Exhibit 89 on the left and State Exhibit 90, which the jurors heard testimony on the right. So I'll just let the jurors look at that for a few seconds and then I'll...
Your Honor, before I think this is separate from the witness that's on the stand. Before we get to this next part of the state's case, can we approach?
Yes, of course. And may Ms. Gagne be excused by both sides?
Yes, Judge.
You can step down, thank you.
Thank you.
And you can stay or leave as you choose.
Thank you.
And ladies and gentlemen of the jury, you just heard redacted portions of Mr. Argie's grand jury testimony. Portions of it were redacted or excluded for legal reasons. I don't want you to speculate as to the cause of those redactions. And then further, in consultation with counsel prior to you hearing that testimony, I instructed counsel that I wanted them to bring a witness in for ease of reference as you heard that back and forth so that it wasn't confusing as that testimony was read to you. So it was at my direction that a staff member of the Attorney General's office came in to read one portion of that communication between the prosecutor and Mr. Argie during the grand jury session. Thank you.
Lastly, Judge, we just wanted the jurors to compare the state's exhibit that we just saw. I believe it's 89, and the state's exhibit that they saw previously, which I believe was state's 90. 89 on the left of this exhibit, state's exhibit 90 on the right. So I'll leave this up for a few moments. Judge, if the jurors indicate to you that they're done, I'll move on to the next exhibit.
I'm getting yes nods from the juries. Anybody else? Everybody, why don't you raise your hand when you've concluded your viewing of these two exhibits? And the record will reflect that all the jurors have raised their hand. Thank you.
Next, Judge, we'll be reading from State's Exhibit 4, which is another certified business record, this from Ford Credit. And after I read the certification, we'll play several recorded telephone calls. And again, this is State's Exhibit 4. I, Michelle Williams, on behalf of Ford Credit, being duly sworn, say, I am employed by Ford Motor Credit Company, LLC, hereafter for credit, as an account services representative and am authorized to execute this affidavit. I am familiar with the business practices of Ford Credit with respect to its generation, collection, and maintenance of recordings of telephone calls placed to Ford Credit by customers. In the regular course of business, Ford Credit makes and keeps for a period recordings of telephone calls made to Ford Credit by customers. The attached recordings are for 3 telephone calls made to Ford Credit from a customer who identified himself as William Argie. The 3 telephone calls are labeled Call 1, Call 2, and Call 3. Call 1 was placed to Ford Credit at about 12:34 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on March 8, 2019. Call 2 was placed to Ford Credit at about 4:07 p.m. Eastern Standard Time on March 15, 2019. Call 3 was placed to Ford Credit at about 10:28 a.m. Eastern Standard Time on March 29, 2019. The recordings were generated and collected in the ordinary course of Ford Credit's business. The recordings were generated contemporaneously as the calls were occurring and were generated in the normal course of business by Ford Credit. The attached recordings are true and accurate copies of records generated and or maintained in the ordinary course of Ford Credit's business. And with that, we will be playing those 3 recordings, Judge. In total, they're about 35 minutes long.
Thank you. And again, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, there now have been, I think, 2 readings through the state of records from establishments. As I indicated earlier, the parties have agreed to the introduction of certain exhibits. These are part of that production. As you know, during jury selection, I had informed you that we may hear from the keeper of the records of a number of entities. In lieu of bringing live people in to provide this testimony, the parties have agreed that records could be read into the record, such as what you've already heard, in lieu of that testimony coming in live.
Thank you for calling Ford Credit.
So the first one is about 11 minutes.
Mr. Miller, the first name is William, and last name is Argie, and he's Argie.
All right, then can I verify your address for me?
22 West Road, Londonderry, Michigan, 03057.
Okay, did you have an alternate contact number provided with the one you're calling from today, or is that it for you?
Yes, it is.
Okay, so may I help you your 2018 Ford F-150?
I called up.
Might be too loud.
Some consistent baking stuff, like the online, and even like when I'm calling, it's saying that you guys receive the payment, so it's my day. It said that if the money wasn't there, but the money was there, and if you intended, then you guys tried to do this in the wrong account, or there was something along, so I spoke to one of your colleagues and said, hey, I should be able to make a payment this week. I wanted to call and see if I could have another week. I did a full-time job, but I working a couple days a month. So I should get a paycheck next Friday. And I probably, I might not be able to, I know I do receive 6 cents, but I might be able to do a little more. I don't know if I should go as far as some of those full, I don't know what it's called, because it's even you get to not make the payment.
Yeah, late fees for when your payment's been received more than 10 days late, and then you have unpaid extension fees for the 3 months.
The extension, I'm sorry, the extension, yeah, the extension. So, but I'd be able to pay that, but I wanted to call and just, if I can't do it, I can't do it, but right now I don't have the 610, but next Friday I will get a paycheck. As I worked with the last 3 days, they had 2 days of time to me.
Okay, the only thing I was a little bit confused, said we used the wrong bank account to debit your payment because I
Yeah, so what I did was, I put it in, and it should be coming from the account 1937. Ended in 1937, but it was coming out of the account of 203. or 209 to it. So I went to the bank, because I have like $150 in fees because I guess they say that you guys kept on redoing it, but it's not. It's, you know, somebody that obviously is doing that probably shouldn't have told me the bank told me, and so I'm trying to get those fees regardless. Because I actually put it in from the 1937 account, but for whatever reason, it's being pulled from the 209 account. And so initially, when I tried to fully make the payment, the money was there, but it was being pulled from the wrong account, and then obviously I thought a check was coming, but it's not till next week. I thought it was going to be last week. So now I'm kind of like, okay, well, so I tried to pay another bill, thinking that the check would come, so the money ended up, that was originally for you guys, just paid by the other bill. And I'm like, okay, why is this sitting out of the 209 account, because it's supposed to be, because the thing is, I tried to make the payment to you guys, and what I was trying to explain to your colleagues a few days ago, and now there's no money there, and now I'm like, okay, well, great, you know, the bill that I probably should have, you know, talked to them and said, hey, can you give me a couple days, and they'll give me money, and now I have to call you guys and say, hey, can you wait a couple days?
Well, just to clarify, sir, and I can send you confirmation in writing, I can send you a copy of the email confirmation that was sent on because of the payment for February 22nd online and the one for February 26th online. Both of those, there's only one bank account for on the website, so when it ended in 1937, both of those were scheduled with that bank account information, and both of those were returned to the Division Trust. So this looks like any other account was used for those payments, which is only one on the website.
Well, yeah, so what I'm telling you is when I go to try to into my bank account, okay, I have 3 bank accounts, but with you guys, I only have one, okay? And the one that the money was in, that you guys are saying is being pulled out, those things do not be pulled out of that account, which are pulled out of the account that I use for like my savings. You know, like where I have, you know, like $20 or $30, you know, and so obviously, and I know that you guys can see that, and it does seem hard because I literally went to the bank and argued with them for an hour. I said, okay, well, somebody's messing up because I had it on my phone. I took pictures of the account, and then I said, okay, well, the first time I did it, the second time I did, and I brought this, and I said, okay, well, Ford's telling me that this is the account that it should be coming out of. You guys pulled it, you know, you allowed it to be pulled out of this account because no money. And I have a confirmation from a bank manager that there was money when I sent that payment, you know, initial payment to you guys back on the 24th. So now I basically told the bank that I'm going to be leaving them. So when I get the money next week, I'm actually going to be paying you from a different bank account. I'm actually going to use just my ATM card. If I can, then I'll say probably yeah, to use the bank number there. But I actually, and I didn't really care for the fee. I'd actually, I'm going to start paying it from. Just doing so there's no next time.
Okay, well, as far as the we don't take cards payment, we need to provide your bank account number and routing.
Yeah, right, no problem.
Okay, and then as far as payments like so you've already had 2 payments returned. If one more does return, then you won't be eligible to make payments by both.
Okay.
And then here. So you're saying by next Friday, which is March 15th, you plan to pay at least $610. You'll have your March payment due at that time. Do you know when you will be
then the following week, I could probably make the hospital. And if not, then I call, but I'm not positive.
Okay, and what is changing that you're going to be able to make those, payment every?
I expected it's kind of like I guess a part-time job. It's not guaranteed hours, but per se, but they said that basically at least 20 hours a month, and with the hourly rate that we can, it's going to be able to at least pay bills.
So I'm documented on the March payment will be paid on the 22nd, and then the February payment will be paid on the 15th. Document will see the arrangement here. Will be counsel then. However, it is important that you do keep both of these arrangements.
Yes, no, I will. It's to a point where it's nothing that you guys have got, because of the United Department that I did try to pay for more tax, but I mean, I don't even mind if you give me a tax number to send you the statement from the other account where it says, return fees for credit, return fees for credit, return fees for credit. And I'm like, okay, well, I know that these should be returned because there's $10 in that account. Why would I try to pay significant cash out of an account that only $10?
I think that, it doesn't, it doesn't really do with that information on.
Yeah, no, it's just, it's not anything that you can do. It's something that I've actually gone and done legal action.
So, if I'm going to go through the payment arrangements, just keep
Okay.
in mind that we may report delinquency with payments are received 30 or more days late, and then the late fee may occur when the payments are received more than 10 days late. Did you have anything else you can assist at this time?
No, that's good. If I pay it on the 22nd, that shouldn't be delinquent. I have to pay it for the 22nd.
It's past due, right, when
Yeah.
if it's the case that the late fee would not incur unless the payment is received more than 10 days late.
Okay. So, I don't know, maybe I should just deal with the employers who take the customer check earlier. If they can, then I'll pay it earlier.
Okay.
And we can get the paper draft.
No, other problems, right? Well, the one on the 22nd for March, that would be, that would definitely be within the 10-day period if it's received by the 22nd.
Okay, great. All right.
Okay?
All right, thank you very much for your time. And I understand it, and I'll get those figures to you.
All right, so we'll need to take your routine before we start, and you will do the rest of your day.
All right, thank you. You too. Bye-bye.
Next call is about 7 minutes.
Sorry, take a look at your personal life. Hey, good? Okay, yeah, sorry about it. The video, person is William Argie, R-G-A-R-G, okay, did you call me 2018 Ford F-150? I am. It's your complete report. So I called earlier, either in the week or end of last week. Spoken to them, they called me, been having some financial problems. I think everything's documented. I don't know if we pull up if there's like a 5-page, people have been typing up a storm, certainly call. But basically I said that I was going to make a payment today, and I have, but I did it online, and it said that it's not going to be credited to the 18th, but I just want to let you guys know, is there a way that you guys can look at that I can get that payment? Yes, I can. Oh, okay. Sure. I just because you guys have been very understanding and willing to work with me, and I was like, okay, I can make this statement.
No, I don't think it's the limitations of our system, because we go through a bank, so, it's bank days, it's Monday to Friday, so it's the next Tuesday, it's Monday, Thursday, Monday, Tuesday, so, but that's not.
Okay, no, I just wanted to make sure.
Oh, absolutely. No, just, it is showing that 28 days, you know, 17, 20, 50, and it shows you maybe, or $610, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay, perfect, and the next one here is, the 22nd, that's still feasible?
I don't know.
Fair enough. Because I don't think, and I don't want to get you, a situation where, to make a possible not, so let me take this first one here. I'll put it down the one you made. And that's which one they're going to be. Give us a call, please, if you let us know, like today, if you were in Gagnon or not, and then we kind of go further from there. Now, then we'll have to go into a situation where, you say, I'm going to have something, and then it's like, you didn't do it. Which,
Yeah.
I bet I'm dead. All right.
Honestly, that would be good. I think what I might need is another week, but I think as we get closer to the 22nd, I might be able to call you and say, hey, I can do that, or not do that.
Sure. That's one of the things I can do. Okay, that's under the one apartment.
It's 118 West Road, Londonderry, Hampshire, 03853.
And correct one of them?
I don't know which one you guys would have. Just really go by and it was very important.
That's only 78.5, is that correct?
That's, yeah, okay. That's okay. It's the 8104, the old one. I don't know if I gave you. I thought I gave you guys my new one.
No problem. Let's see, any alternate numbers? Is that the only one?
Yeah, that's the only number.
And who's the current employee?
Right now, not, and that's why we're having something on.
Okay. Yeah, I'll give you a call down. There is a lot more from here. Okay, no problem. So I'll make the account.
Okay. Are we, like, is there anything that's mounted, that says who takes this kind of vehicles, or you don't want to wake up there? Obviously, I'm trying to find a job.
Exactly. And we are getting a chance to work with you. Like you said, we'll take the one payment here, and if it will be not, we'll wait this one second and see if you follow with it. And the 22nd, the payment here is the same for February's payment. Even if you do the one payment, which is today, the next payment is March.
Yeah.
And then the 22nd, you give me a call, and we kind of tell us if you're going to make it or not, if you do it at time. That's not, we can go with you. No problem. We do this, and after we tell you everything, and we'll get this rule. Okay, Jim?
Okay. Now, I know that I have 3 or 4 more of those old things. I think I don't want to use those. I've tried to avoid using those, but if we need to use one of those, can we use one of those?
A whole extension?
Yeah.
Okay. Yeah, it'll be, they are, probably, yeah, definitely, if you can be able to also do it, you have to do there is a fee involved in the vehicle. Yeah. And so there's no interest on it, but you have to do the transaction in action. When if you do need one, let's say, African or first second, if you see which is going to be issued with that name, and you want to take that into that, then we just call us now, because then it works like that.
Yeah, I think the fee was like $150. I got to pay $100, and I understand, late fees are cheaper than that, but late fees look bad on your credit where you'd rather just say, hey, if I can have another month to do some things to breathe and try to figure out, the next step here.
Absolutely. I think, and then you should take a conflict with it, which is very important. If you want. So, definitely, we'll sit down here, and we'll look forward to meeting with you on about the 22nd.
Okay, thank you very much. Thank you for your time. Have a great weekend.
You too, very much.
Last call is about 8 minutes.
We have William Argie. On the line, previously used credit pen. The account number is 5564291. Press 1 to connect, or 2 to repeat the account number. We have...
Thank you very much for calling for credit. My name is John. May I have your name?
Yes, John, it's William Argie, Jr.
Thank you very much, Mr. Argie. How may I help you today, sir?
I wanted to call about my account. I was trying to make a payment, and then I thought I did my account number, but I think I was off by a couple numbers today, and that's the numbers that I actually have in front of me. So I went to try to do it again, and then they said that, oh, we saw that you tried to make that payment, now we're going to a customer service. So that's where we're at now.
Okay, let me open the account and let me verify the information. Could you please verify for me what is your mailing address?
118 West Road, Londonderry, Hampshire. 03053.
Thank you very much, sir. And who is the primary phone number on the account?
It's 608-845-7815.
Good. Do you have a second number, sir?
I know.
Okay, good. Thank you. So we have the 2018 Ford F-150. The total amount due right now is $1,141.14. The amount...
I wanted to use it's 10.
Okay.
I don't know who it was. You can look at the notes. I thought I was going to be able to make it on the 22nd. And I didn't get the money, but I have the money now. So I'm going to make the payment. But I want to make sure that, we're not in the process of trying to get my truck.
No, sir. You don't have any recall process on the account right now. But what I see here is that the last two payments have been returned for insufficient funds. Remember, if you have more than two, you have 3 return payments on the account, your account will be blocked to be paid by phone, just to let you know, okay? So you can pay today $610 to pay the past due amount, the March payment on the account, right?
Yeah.
Okay, let me put the notes on the account. With the arrangement, remember, for security reasons, we do not take payments on the account, sir. I can make the arrangement on the account, so with the arrangement, we know that you are going to pay today. Now, you can pay online, or you can pay through the automatic payment system by phone. And is there any reason why the account was late, sir?
Well, I had truck payments the 15th, and then I don't know why the last 2 payments, because the last payment I made on the 15th.
No, the one that on the 18th we received that payment, but before that we had a payment on February the 22nd and the 26th.
And I had talked to you about that, not you, but somebody in your company. Like literally, and you guys verified the direct account number that I was given, and right now I have like $200 in overdraft fees from my bank who was told it from the wrong account, but I told you guys to pull it from an account that ended in different numbers, and they were pulling it from 2093. And so I'm in the middle of that, and they're asking for their money, so finally I just called the lawyer and said, look, I don't know what to do. I mean, this didn't work. I mean, it's $200. It's going to be a lot more to hire you, but, so please call them, and so hopefully that will be removed. But that's the reason why those payments were missed, because they made the mistake.
Remember that you scheduled the payment, you scheduled the payment online, sir. You are the one who chooses the account to process the payment online. We have no way how to modify that.
There was nothing that you guys did wrong. There was nothing that I did wrong. It's clearly evidence that, because I even took a picture the second time. The first time I saw it, I'm like, why is this not going through? The second time, because I called and I actually have her name, Martineau, called and said, "We do it." So I redid it, and then I got another late fee because they said that there was no fine. It was $650 in fine, and I paid $610. So I know that there was money there. Anyway, I want to make a big bet, so I know that the money's there, and it's actually a different bank. I completely went to a different bank.
Okay, now, with the account for future outreach, yeah, with the account, remember the future payments is access to the account 10 days after the due date to pay. So you said the main reason about the account is, I do see on the note that the account was running money late because you were out of work?
Yes, I'm still out of work. I'm still trying to find a job.
Okay, sure. So with the payment for 610, that will hopefully also be back on track on the payments on the account. The additional fees that you have on the account, the $122 and the $409 of the extension fees, what you can do with that amount is try to pay that on payment, at least $25 extra to your monthly payment to try to take care of the additional money with the remainder amount in the account, sir. So let me just go ahead now that I actively promised to pay on the account. Would you go to pay online, or do you want me to connect you to the system to pay by phone?
If you can connect to the system, I already unloaded it. It's going to be to try to take by,
Don't worry, sir. Let me connect you right now when the arrangement is active on the account. But again, today we are receiving this money on Monday, so we are aware of that, okay? So any other questions?
Well, thank you very much for your time.
I really wish you an amazing weekend, and thank you very much for your time today, sir.
All right, thank you. You as well.
Bye. Let me get some to you right now.
Welcome to the fourth step.
So that's the end of the calls on State's Exhibit 4. And we have no further witnesses for business.
Okay, thank you. So, ladies and gentlemen of the jury, we're going to recess for today. As you know, all of us involved in this proceeding are never positive how long it'll take for a witness to testify, so everybody involved does their best to make sure that they're filling your day fully. Some days we're going to need more time, and other days we're going to end a little bit early. So keep that in mind. We will start tomorrow at 9 o'clock. Please continue to keep an open mind, not read or listen to any media coverage about the case, and let me know if anything comes up in terms of any exposure to something one way or the other. Anything further from counsel before we excuse the jury?
No, Judge.
Okay, thank you. I'll see you all back here ready to go at 9 o'clock.
All right.